the day they arrested my daughter-in-law. She looked straight at me and screamed, "You destroyed my life!" I didn't flinch. I just stood there, calm as ever, while the truth finally spoke louder than lies. What she didn't know, this was only the beginning. My name's Marlene Duval. I'm 68 years old, born and raised in Baton Rouge. My husband built this house with his hands, and after he passed, I stayed right here, watering his roses and paying every bill myself. I'm not crazy, and I'm not confused. Folks like to pretend old age means weakness, but my mind's sharper than the knives Valora used to cut her roast. You listen to me now. Baby, when you get old, people will try to make you doubt your own memory. They'll smile while moving you out of the picture. That's what they call respect these days, smiling while they erase you. That night at my son's house, I realized I wasn't family anymore. I was a burden to relocate. It was the last night I let them sit me in the corner and call it love. It was Darius's 42nd birthday. Valora planned a family dinner. Though most faces there didn't share a drop of our blood, the dining room shimmered, candles, gold chargers, music too loud for talk. Valora floated from guest to guest, calling me Miss Marlene, not Mama. That one word turned me into a prop in her little performance. Her friends laughed too hard at her jokes, the kind that make you glance around to see who's not laughing. I sat quiet, watching. The air smelled of sweet wine and ambition. Darius kept checking her eyes before he spoke, like he was waiting for permission. That told me plenty. No one asked what I wanted to eat, though I'm diabetic. Fried macaroni, candied yams, sweet rolls, everything sticky with sugar. Nothing for me. I didn't complain. I just marked it down. Inside. Then came her joke. "Let's sit, Mama, where she'll be comfortable." She dragged a folding chair near the bathroom door. Everyone chuckled. I smiled thin as paper and sat. The toilet flushed behind me while they toasted in the other room. You ever hear humiliation? It sounds like water running and people pretending not to notice. I told myself, don't speak, count. I counted who laughed. I counted who looked away. Not one voice said, "That's not right." Valora streamed little videos, champagne glittering, birthday cake candles. She filmed everyone except me. I wasn't part of her story. She leaned close, perfume sharp, whispering, "You okay back here, Miss Marlene? Older folks get tired easy." I said, "I'm fine, darling." She thought she'd won. I wasn't crying. I was documenting. Later, I called Darius softly. "Baby, can I sit by you? Just tonight." He glanced around, embarrassed. "Ma, can we not do this right now?" That cut deeper than he knew. "Not right now" means never, said politely. His father would have stopped the world before letting me be treated that way. But my protector's in the ground, and my boy's become a man who speaks with someone else's tongue. "We just want what's best for you. Ma," he added. That wasn't his voice. It was hers. I looked at him, at the guests' clinking glasses, and I thought, I built this family, and now I'm the stranger in the photo frame. Valora kept boasting about streamlining finances, saying it like a trophy. One friend giggled, "Girl, you're about to be set for life." Valora nodded, all teeth. I stayed silent, but something cold uncoiled inside me. In this country, they don't rob old women with guns. They do it with paperwork. I listened while she bragged about handling Dad's estate, my husband's name rolling off her tongue like she owned him. I smiled for the camera, but in my head, I said, "Watch the hands that pour your tea." After the cake, people drifted out. Valora walked them to their cars. That hostess smile plastered on. Darius took trash outside, leaving his phone and laptop glowing on the counter. I went to close the lid so it wouldn't overheat, and there it was, an email open. Subject line, transfer authorization. My name inside the thread. The first line read, "She won't know, it's done." Sent from Valora to someone I didn't know. My hands didn't shake. My whole body went cold. I whispered, "She won't know." I suddenly understood. I wasn't just inconvenient. I was an obstacle. I heard her heels clicking down the hallway. For one breath, I had to decide. Close it and pretend, or keep reading and let her catch me. That email said, "She won't know. It's done." I was about to find out exactly what it was and whether I was supposed to disappear. The kitchen was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the faint pop of cooling candles. Balloons sagged over half-empty glasses. Plates sat crusted with frosting. I stood there, my hands on the counter, looking at the glow of Darius's laptop. The subject line glared back at me. Transfer authorization, final. The first sentence read, "She won't know. It's done." My name sat below it like a signature on my own disappearance. I'd heard of strangers stealing from the elderly, but not your own blood. People think abuse comes with a slap or a bruise, but the new way to hurt someone is through a keyboard. Polite, silent, and final. I didn't make a sound. I just whispered, "Okay," and let that word harden into a promise. The back door creaked open. Darius came in smelling like cold air and guilt. "You good, Ma?" he asked without meeting my eyes. I turned the laptop slightly toward me. "Baby, what did Valora mean when she said, 'It's done'?" He blinked too fast, mouth stalling. "Ma, that's just adult stuff. Taxes, you don't gotta worry, okay? We're just trying to make sure you're taken care of." Those words, taken care of, landed wrong. In our world, that could mean love, or it could mean burial. I nodded slow, like I believed him, but inside something settled cold and clear. My son wouldn't save me, so I would. Valora floated back in, still smiling that polished smile. "Miss Marlene, you hanging in there, sweetheart? You look tired tonight." Her sweetness was a trap covered in sugar. I said, "I'm fine. I was just looking at some of Darius's emails about my accounts." She froze for a breath, then gave a smaller smile. "Oh, we handled that for you." The word clanged like a lock. "Valora," I said evenly. "Why is my name in a message that says, 'She won't know'?" She leaned against the fridge, calm as glass. "Because you stress too much, Miss Marlene. We're simplifying things. You don't need to handle the heavy stuff. You can rest." I told the listener, rest, in her mouth, means removal. "Don't plan for me like I'm already gone," I said. Her eyes flicked, just once. That was enough. Then she changed tone, soft as a church whisper. "We're setting up that smart home speaker in your place tomorrow. You can just say, 'Call Darius,' and it'll do it for you." She made it sound like care, but I'd seen this before. You take away a woman's phone line, mute her devices, call it protection. Last week, my landline accidentally got unplugged. I picked up the little speaker she bragged about and saw the mic button already muted. "Does it listen all the time?" I asked. She laughed. "Only when you say the word." The red light stared back like a closed eye. The thing meant to call for help couldn't hear a scream. I set it down and said softly, "Then it's no good to me," when she walked off. I sat back in that same folding chair by the bathroom door, the humiliation spot. I watched her pack leftovers like she owned the kitchen, online, She posted about family blessings. But the truth was right here. She won't know. It's done. They were moving my money, controlling my voice, rehearsing my absence. That wasn't neglect. That was rehearsal. I thought of every widow in my church who vanished behind polite paperwork. Not me. Not this time. If Valora Pratt thinks I'm going quiet, I whispered, she's not listening close enough. She came back, hand light on my shoulder. Miss Marlene, I'm off tomorrow. How about I take you out by the river? Just us girls. You love the water, right? My stomach dropped. Valora doesn't do just us girls. That river was where my husband and I used to pray when life got hard. For her to use it, that was blasphemy dressed as kindness. It'll be peaceful, she said, smiling wide. I smiled too, slow and knowing. Because right then I understood. She wasn't offering air. She was offering erasure. Valora came late morning, wearing leggings and that big fake smile that shines too bright to be real. Just us girls, she said, jangling her keys like we were headed for coffee instead of consequence. She told Darius, let me have a little one-on-one with your mama, okay? We're fine. He didn't argue. He kissed my forehead without meeting my eyes. That hurt worse than any shout. She drove my husband's old truck, not her own car, like she wanted it to look familiar if anyone saw us together. The whole way there, she talked about peace, how I deserve some peace, how she wanted to help me find peace. I kept my hands folded in my lap and said quiet, baby, when people promise you peace too often, check what they mean by it. Sometimes they mean silence. The river shimmered brown under a soft Louisiana sun, dragonflies darting low over the mud. It smelled like memory and rot, everything beautiful and broken mixed together. This was the same bend where my husband once told me, nobody's ever putting you out of this world like trash. Not while I'm breathing. That man kept his word until the day he stopped breathing. Valora stood there, pretending reverence. Darius told me this place was special, she said sweetly, stepping careful in her clean shoes. Her eyes weren't on the trees or the sky. They kept tracking the water line. I noticed she placed herself on the dry ground higher up, while I stood closer to the mud's edge. Position is power, I murmured, mostly to myself. She smiled, maybe thinking it was thanks. Miss Marlene, she started, voice syrupy. People have been worried about you. You've been saying things that don't line up, getting confused. That's how they erase you. Soft words that sound like care. I told her plain, I'm not confused. Valora, I saw that email. I know exactly what you're doing. Her eyes didn't blink. Her lips twitched like she'd rehearsed it. Baby, you misread, she said, pity dripping from each syllable. You know how screens can get you turned around. That hit deep, not because I believed her, but because I knew she'd practiced that line. It was her script, not her shock. That's how you get rid of women like me, I said. You call them forgetful until nobody believes their truth. I took a breath, heavy with resignation. I don't want no fight. Valora, I just want my home, my name on what's mine, and my son. She tilted her head, studied me like a puzzle piece that didn't fit her picture. You know Darius loves you, she said softly. He's just under a lot of pressure. He's under your pressure, I replied, quiet but sharp. That was the first time I saw her real face, flat, unbothered, empty. That's when I knew my family was gone and only calculation remained. She stepped closer, hand warm on my back like kindness, but her palm spread wide, steadying me toward the slope. Sometimes the kindest thing a person can do is let go, she whispered. I ain't letting go, I said. I wasn't talking about you holding on. She answered, almost bored. My blood froze. The mud softened under my shoes. I could feel gravity waiting for its cue. Her hand didn't move to pull me back. It pressed. Then it happened. Both hands. A shove so fast my breath didn't keep up. My feet slid out. The sky flipped upside down. And I fell forward into the brown blur. The shock of that water hit like metal. Cold. Final. I heard her say, almost sweetly, "It's okay. Just breathe." But it wasn't comfort. It was command. My lungs filled with river. My arms thrashed, reaching for anything, root, branch, mercy. Above the surface, sunlight flickered through the ripples, and her shadow stood still. I opened my mouth to call her name, but all that came out was river, and Valora just stood there on the bank, calm as Sunday, like she'd already told the world I was confused and wandered off. Valora came late that morning, sunlight bouncing off her sunglasses like mirrors made for lying. "Just us girls," she said, tone soft as cotton. "Let's get you some river air." She told Darius, "You stay home, baby. Your mama needs quiet, not more noise." It sounded like care, but it was control. Darius didn't fight it. He just nodded, kissed my forehead, and said, "Call me if you need me." He didn't check if my phone even worked. I noticed that. She drove my late husband's old truck, not her car, so if anyone saw us, it would look harmless, familiar. That wasn't kindness. That was camouflage. On the road, she kept repeating, "You've been so stressed. You deserve some peace." I looked out the window and thought, in this world, peace can mean they plan to shut you up. The river looked the same, but felt different. Cypress knees jutted from the mud, dragonflies skimmed the surface, and the air smelled like rain and rust. This was where my husband used to bring me when we had more bills than faith. He once told me, "Ain't nobody throwing you away as long as I'm breathing," and now he's gone, and Valora's smiling like she's honoring that memory. "Darius said this place was special to y'all," she murmured. "I wanted you to feel close to him." I saw where she placed me, closer to the slope where the ground was wet and giving. She stood higher, dry, balanced. "People show you where they want you," I told myself. My heart felt heavy but alert. She wasn't bringing me comfort. She was bringing me to a ledge. "Miss Marlene," she began, voice syrupy. "You've been mixing things up lately, saying things that didn't happen." I turned to her. "No, baby. I saw that email. She won't know, it's done." Those were your words. She didn't flinch. She smiled, all pity. "You misread, sweetheart. Legal talk gets confusing." She was building a version of me, confused, unstable, so she could tell police later. She wandered off. I wanted the audience to hear it clear. That's how they disappear older women in this country. Not with fists, but with paperwork and tone. I said, "Valora, I'm not trying to fight. I just want my house, my name, and to see my son." She cocked her head. "You know Darius loves you, right? He's just under a lot of pressure." "He's under your pressure," I said, calm but final. Her smile fell flat. I saw her real face then, the one that didn't bother pretending anymore. That was the moment I knew there was no family left to save. She stepped behind me, close enough that I could smell her perfume, something sharp and sweet. Her hand touched the middle of my back. "Sometimes the kindest thing a person can do," she whispered, "is let go." I said, "I ain't letting go." She replied, "I wasn't talking about you holding on." Cold ran up my spine. My shoes slipped in the mud, and she didn't steady me. She held me there, waiting for gravity. Then it happened. Both hands, a hard shove between my shoulders. The world flipped, sky to water, water to sky. My body had no time to argue with the fall. I heard her soft voice behind me. It's okay. Just breathe. I hit the river, and the cold was alive, crawling into every bone. My lungs forgot how to work. I tried to scream but swallowed mud. The sound in my ears roared like thunder in a shell. Through the water, I saw her standing still on the bank, black silhouette against morning light. Not moving, not calling, just watching. I opened my mouth to say her name, and all that came out was River. I came home the third night after the river, shoes still damp from washing mud off in a motel sink. I moved through my own front door like a ghost, testing if walls remembered her. The house looked ordinary. Porch light steady, mail neatly stacked. Valora's car gone, Darius's truck not in sight. To the world, I was away resting. But the air inside told on them. It smelled rearranged, too clean. I checked my locks, my papers, my folder in the kitchen drawer. Still there. My leverage breathing quiet in Manila. I poured cold coffee, sat at the table, and listened. The house creaked in its bones. When you survive something meant to end you, I told the dark, the world doesn't clap. It waits to see if it believes you. Morning light slid through the blinds like nothing happened. I walked into the living room and stopped. The photo from Darius's 10th birthday sat crooked on the mantel. Something was wrong. My face, gone. Cut clean from the picture, the edges sharp as betrayal. I held that empty frame and whispered, so this is how they start, erasing you in pieces. I checked the trash. Nothing. Whoever did it took that cutout with them, like proof the job was done. I sat there a long time, thumb on the empty space where my smile used to be. You wanted me gone, I said softly. Let's see how loud gone can sound. By noon, I was at the precinct, sitting across from Detective Nia Breckenridge, sharp suit, sharper eyes. She didn't baby talk me like most do when they see gray hair. You said you nearly fell in? She asked, watching the bruise blooming along my jaw. Yes, ma'am, I said. By the river behind my property. Slippery bank. She tilted her head. That doesn't look like a fall. I didn't deny it. I wasn't ready to accuse yet. Maybe check the site, I said, just to be safe. Nia nodded, slid her card across. Unofficial check, she said, off record. As I left, she added, if someone thought you were gone, Miss Duval, they'll start acting different now that you're standing. I smiled. Slow. That's exactly what I'm counting on. 2 days later, her number lit my phone. Miss Duval, we found something. I met her by the river where the water still carried my memory. The divers came up holding a rusted metal box, dripping mud. Inside, a wallet, a ring, a sealed insurance document. The wallet was empty except for a card. Valora Pratt. Beneficiary. The ring was my husband's, the one Valora claimed she'd sent for cleaning. I touched it like skin gone cold. The river don't lie, I said. Nia nodded. This wasn't supposed to come back up. The sound of the current felt like laughter, deep and old. Sometimes, I told her, what they bury comes back louder than a scream. That night, I sat at my kitchen table again. The photo frame, Nia's card, and the insurance paper spread before me like witnesses. I started printing old records, bank transfers, emails, my husband's notarized clause naming me executor. I sealed copies and addressed 2 envelopes, one to my pastor, one to an old friend in Atlanta. You can't out-yell lies. I told the quiet. You outlive them. I folded the documents neat and whispered. She thought water would keep my story quiet, but sound travels farther over water than on land. The phone rang near midnight. Detective Breckenridge's voice was low, careful. Miss Duval, she said, we found something else in that box, and you're not going to believe who's on the paperwork. I was drinking my morning coffee when I saw Detective Nia Breckenridge's car pull up outside. No phone call first, just her, standing on my porch with a folder under her arm. That told me this wasn't a conversation for phones. She spread papers across my kitchen table, insurance forms, transfer authorizations, and one document that stopped me cold. Primary beneficiary in the event of death, Valora Pratt. Nia said quietly, It's not just the money moving, Miss Duval. It's money if you die. I didn't flinch. I just asked. You got enough to stop her? She nodded. I do. But I want witnesses. She's speaking downtown. A women's empowerment brunch. We'll go together. I pushed my cup aside. Sometimes, I said, you don't pray for revenge, you just let the truth walk in on two good legs. The event was dressed up like Sunday glory. White linens, bad champagne, and a banner that read, Women Lifting Women. Baton Rouge's middle-class saints were all there, clapping between bites of fruit salad. Valora stood at the podium in a peach suit, her voice smooth like butter, melting too slow. We don't throw people away, she said, especially our elders. The crowd hummed agreement, phones up, filters on. I stood in the back beside Nia, hands steady. I tell the audience, a pretty lie gets amen quicker than an ugly truth. Then I saw it, my husband's wedding ring glinting on her right hand, the one she claimed was being cleaned. My jaw locked, but my face stayed calm. I wanted her to finish her sermon before God answered it. Nia stepped forward with two deputies. Mrs. Pratt, step down, please. The sound dropped out of the room, just heels scraping tile and breath being held. Valora gave a tight laugh. Ladies, it's just a misunderstanding. Nia didn't blink. Valora Pratt, you're under arrest for attempted murder and financial fraud. The cuffs clicked. Phones recorded. Someone gasped. Ain't that her mother-in-law back there? I lifted my chin. No hiding. Valora's smile fell off her face like paint in heat. She turned, locked eyes with me, and I saw it. Not surprised she was caught, but disbelief that I was still alive. Whispers spread like wind. Insurance money, her name on it, tried to drown her. I looked around the room and saw heads turn. The same people who'd nodded amen now whispered, Lord, that poor woman. For the first time, pity belonged to me, not her. Valora started yelling, voice sharp. You don't know what you've done. You ruined this family. I didn't answer. Silence has a way of echoing louder than shouting. Nia lifted an evidence bag for the cameras. My husband's ring inside, dull from the river. Funny, she said. You told folks this was sent for cleaning. Valora froze. That ring was covenant. My husband once promised. Nobody's throwing you away while I'm breathing. Valora tried to wear that promise like jewelry. I said, steady, that ring ain't yours, baby. Half the room gasped. The other half stared at her like they'd just seen the devil lose her costume. Later, at the sheriff's office. I sat across from Nia again. No pity, no doubt. She showed me the papers, matching dates, policies, signatures. She would have collected the payout if you hadn't survived, she said. You want to press attempted murder? I shook my head. I want the truth on record. That's enough. She smiled faintly. That I can do. Then her tone shifted. Marlene, she said, lowering her voice. We pulled more than one box from that river. I frowned. What do you mean more? She leaned close. There was a barrel with remains inside. More than one set. My breath caught. The room shrank. This ain't just about her trying to get rid of you, Nia said. We're gonna need you back tomorrow. There are names. I whispered. Lord have mercy. The next morning, Detective Breckenridge drove me through the mist toward the Baton Rouge forensic lab. The sky looked bruised, and the air pressed heavy, like something waiting to be named. Inside, it was cold, not the kind you fix with a sweater, but the kind that seeps from truth itself. When you get old, I told the audience quietly, you think nothing can shake you. But I never stood in a room that cold before. Dr. Halloran, the forensic anthropologist, showed us photographs, a rusted barrel split open, bones wrapped in what used to be blue tarp. 2 adult females, he said. One buried much longer than the other, maybe 20 years apart. I whispered. That's before Valora ever came around. Nia's tone went still. Exactly. That's why I need you here, Miss Duval. This river's been swallowing more than just lies. They said the barrel was lodged beneath the old iron bridge, the same one my husband used to cross for his meetings. I remembered him saying, "Don't ever go poking near that bridge. Marlene ain't safe after dark." I tell the audience, funny thing about men's warnings, sometimes they ain't protecting you. They're protecting what they hid. The tech listed recovered items, a silver necklace, a fingernail painted crimson, and a cloth tag that read, St. Mary's Hospice. My chest tightened. Ruthie Holloway used to work there, I said. Nia turned toward me. You knew her? I nodded. My best friend went missing in 003. Her lips pressed together. The room felt smaller. The same river that tried to take me might have been holding Ruthie this whole time. Dr. Halloran adjusted his glasses, voice softer now. We found dental plates engraved with initials, R.H., custom work from St. Mary's. It's a strong match. My knees weakened, and Nia caught my arm. That woman sang at my husband's funeral, I said. I baked cornbread for her mama when she passed. The photo blurred in front of me. Then Halloran added, We found a rosary bead fused into one rib, likely placed after death. I stared at it and whispered, Somebody prayed over her, or pretended to. My heart turned from grief to fire. This wasn't Valora, I said. She's too new to be that kind of evil. Nia nodded. The property trust tied to this barrel traces back to your husband's business, joint ownership with Henry Coulter. My mouth went dry. I said, That's who handled his riverfront warehouses. The kind of silence that follows truth filled the room. That night, I sat at my kitchen table surrounded by files, the kind of quiet that carries questions no one wants answered. My husband's photo smiled from the wall, same smile he used when saying, Don't worry, baby, I got it handled, I whispered. How much did you handle, Henry? How much did you bury? I pulled out an old note from Ruthie, dated 2002. Thanks for introducing me to Henry. He says he can help me get out of debt. My throat closed. I called Nia. That warehouse, you check who owned it. She sighed. Your husband's trust, co-signed by Henry Coulter. I told the audience. The river didn't just take Ruthie. It took my marriage, too, one secret at a time. The next afternoon, I went to see Henry Coulter in his nursing home. His eyes were milky, but the grin was sharp. Well, I'll be damned, he said. Marlene Duval still looks like she could keep a man honest. I laid a photo of the barrel on his lap. Recognize it? His hand trembled before he laughed low. Told him not to keep it close to the bridge. Said it'd come back up. I asked. Who's him? His grin soured. You married him. I froze. You telling me my husband killed Ruthie? He shrugged. Killed, buried. Same thing when you're covering for business. I whispered. Then that river didn't take her. Y'all fed her to it. He leaned close. Careful. Marlene. You stir old mud. It drowns new people. I stood up slow. You forget. I already survived drowning. That night, the house was quiet except for the rain. I sat on the porch with a notebook and my husband's Bible beside me. One candle burned in the window. I started writing names. Ruthie, Henry, the lawyer, the notary, every soul tied to that river. They all down there together, I said softly. And maybe I lived, so somebody would bring them up. Nia called just as the flame flickered. Marlene, she said, voice low. We found another name, and it's someone still alive. My hand shook, but I smiled at the reflection in the glass. Ruthie's face. Gentle, shining in the candlelight like she'd finally been found. I reached the condo entrance at exactly 1:59 p.m. Folder zipped, posture calm. Vernon Calhoun walked beside me, phone camera discreetly running. The afternoon light hit the glass doors just so, bright enough to make truth impossible to hide. Devonte Miles, the concierge, hesitated before greeting. Afternoon, Ms. Ellison. I smiled faintly. Just here for records. Not trouble. My voice stayed level, practiced. I pulled out HOA Policy 4.3, printed in bold, and read it like scripture. Per regulation, residents may request recorded materials in writing. He nodded. Dialing upstairs. After a pause, he said, Mr. Cray will meet you in the office. The air smelled like lemon cleaner and anxiety. I stood straight, every inch of me saying, I belong here. The elevator hummed upward, each floor a step closer to accountability. Vernon's silence steadied me. Mr. Lennox Cray waited in the office doorway, smile managerial but nervous. Ms. Ellison, how can we assist you today? I placed 3 copies of my signed request on the desk, stamped with Clara Voss's letterhead. The paper landed with quiet authority. Vernon tapped his pen 3 times, our signal to watch reactions. We normally allow 7 days to process, Cray began. I replied evenly. 7 days apply to personal complaints. This is a fraud investigation. The word fraud tightened the air. He gestured toward a monitor, voice faltering. You're asking for footage? Doorbell and lobby cams, I said. Between 4:16 and 4:31 p.m. on the day I was evicted. His throat bobbed as he said, Let me check the files. He clicked through folders until the lobby feed appeared. There I was, smiling, groceries in hand. Then Celine entered the frame, standing too close to the clerk. Galen Price leaning behind her. No warmth, no shame, just quiet authority where compassion should have been. Celine's mouth formed words I'd never forget. Get her out. My boyfriend doesn't want her here. Vernon paused the video. Silence filled the office. I turned to Cray. This model has audio, correct? He nodded. Then you've documented a wrongful eviction, the clerk whispered. I didn't mean... I cut him off gently. Intent fades. Evidence doesn't... The line felt like armor. Cray said nothing. He just played the next file. The doorbell camera showed Celine's unit. Galen's voice. Tell her the locks are changed. My voice answered, quiet but steady. I'm your mother. Celine's tone sliced through the air. You're a guest we didn't invite. Then, click, door shut. Silence again. Only this time it sounded final. Vernon whispered, That's enough. I shook my head. No, it's complete. I asked for a copy. Full footage, time-stamped, chain of custody signed, gray-printed forms with trembling fingers. I signed every line cleanly. Thank you for your cooperation, I said. Please continue that habit. The folder slid into my tote beside Harlan's watch. Justice fit nicely next to memory. Walking back through the lobby, heads turned. Someone whispered, "That's her, the lady they kicked out." I met their eyes, chin up. "Good afternoon," I said, tone sweet as Sunday tea. Southern politeness has sharp edges when wielded right. "Outside?" Vernon asked. "You ready for what's next?" I smiled. Always was. The sun hit the courtyard fountain, same spot where shame had once burned me. Now it looked like a baptism. The drive home stayed quiet. We didn't need to narrate victory. Back at his study, we copied the footage to 3 drives and uploaded one to the cloud. Clara called. "Preserve originals," she said. "We file tomorrow." I wrote a single line in my notebook. "Documentation keeps women like me unbroken." Vernon poured coffee. "To dignity caught on camera." I raised my cup. "And to daughters who finally learn what truth sounds like." By morning, half the building would whisper what the footage showed. By noon, the HOA board would demand Celine Ward's explanation. Justice, it turned out, had perfect timing. Detective Breckenridge called me back to the sheriff's office that morning. The hallway smelled like burnt coffee and cold metal, the kind of place where truth has to sit under fluorescent light. She closed the door, sat across from me, and slid a photo onto the table, a still frame from 2003. 3 figures near a pickup by the river warehouse. 2 men, 1 woman. I leaned forward, squinting at the grain. The 3rd woman was me. My voice caught. "That's me carrying a thermos." Nia nodded. "You were there the night Ruthie Holloway disappeared," I whispered. I thought I was bringing coffee. "Henry called? Said Ruthie got sick. My husband told me to stay in the truck," Nia said softly. "They used you, Marlene. You made it look normal." I stared at the photo until my eyes burned. "I will not carry their dirt," I said, and my voice didn't shake. Then Nia pulled another paper from her folder. My husband's signature. Legal, clean, heartless. A document transferring responsibility of care and estate continuity to Henry Coulter, and later, Valora Pratt, in the event of incapacitation or death. My name written like an account number. 2 months before he died. I felt something inside me crack. Not grief, but realization. He didn't protect me. He prepared to hand me off. "So," I said quietly, "he knew." Nia didn't flinch. "He did, ma'am." I laughed once. Bitter. Valora didn't invent greed. She just inherited it. The room went still. I looked at the signature again and said, "Then we stopped protecting his name." Nia nodded. That was the moment my morning ended. Justice began. The sheriff's office called a press conference that afternoon. Reporters filled the lobby, cameras clicking, bright lights bouncing off glass. Nia told the sheriff, "Let her speak." So I did. My palms were steady on the podium. "My name is Marlene Duval," I began. "I did not wander. I did not fall. I was pushed into that river by Valora Pratt, who stood on paperwork that said she profits if I die." Gasps cut through the crowd. Phones came up like witnesses. I held up the family photo from my mantle, my face still cut out. This is how erasure starts. First, they move your money. Then, they move your picture. Then, they move your body. The room went silent except for the whir of camera shutters. "You don't get to build a life off my silence, or I said. "Not anymore," reporters shouted. "Was this for inheritance?" Is there a murder case? Nia stepped beside me, voice calm. We confirmed remains tied to 2 missing women. Investigation ongoing. She said Henry Coulter's name out loud, and you could feel the air change. Folks who used to call Valora an angel suddenly looked away. I told the audience in my heart, truth don't heal right away, but it disinfects. Then I saw Darius in the back, my own son, pale, staring at the floor. For the first time, I didn't reach for him. Afterward, he followed me into the hallway. Ma, why'd you have to say all that in public? You're tearing us up. I faced him. Baby, this family was already torn. I'm just holding the rip to the light. His jaw clenched. You're sending Valora to prison. I said, no. She sent herself. Then came the old defense. They'll drag Daddy's name now. I looked him in the eye. Your daddy chose dirt. I choose daylight. I put my hand on his cheek. You don't get to stand halfway. Decide who you are. And for once, I walked away first. That evening, the sky turned violet over Baton Rouge. I sat on my porch with a notebook and the same candle I lit for Ruthie. I changed the locks, froze every bank transfer, and threw out the smart speaker Valora installed. I'm not your project. I told the empty air. I lit 2 candles, one for Ruthie, one for me. The river hummed somewhere beyond the trees, but I wasn't afraid of it anymore. I told her, you didn't get to speak, sister. I spoke for us both. I leaned back, breathing steady, feeling peace that didn't ask permission. People think survival's just breathing, I said softly. No, survival is saying your name out loud again. My name is Marlene Duval. I did not fall. I was pushed. They tried to cash me out and bury what I knew. But I'm still here. And now the whole town's heard me. So tell me this, when folks say they love you, do you know if they're holding your hand or your life insurance? The night settled quiet, but my phone buzzed again. An unknown number. Same river area code. A woman's voice whispered, You think it's over, Miss Duval? He left more than one signature. My candle flickered out. I stood up slow, heart steady. Then I guess the river ain't done talking yet.